Welcome to According to Sam, folks. This is episode 178, and happy Friday. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching this podcast. I'm going to pick up where I left off in the last podcast. I had said at the end of my last podcast that I was going to start going back and get into talking about Mesopotamia, talking about the Mesopotamian gods, getting into the Anunnaki and Marduk and Baal and Dagon, and talking about Abraham and introducing you to the character Abram, who became Abraham. I'm going to do all of that, and we'll probably get into that on Monday. I want to pick up on where I left off in the last podcast today. And we were talking about the obelisk in the last podcast, but then we started getting into, at the end of the podcast, the back of the dollar bill and the Great Seal and the pyramid with the floating capstone, which is an eye, single eye. And it says at the bottom there, Novus Ordo Seclorum. Let's get started here. And again, thank you guys for joining me today. So this is the back of the dollar bill. This is the Great Seal here. This basically means, here, I have it right here. The Great Seal of the United States. And then this is the Latin here. It means that he has favored our undertaking. And who is the he that they're talking about? The he is God. That they will tell you that God, the God that is on the back of the dollar bill here, in God we trust, is the he that they are talking about when they say that he has favored our undertaking, is what this Latin means above the capstone. And then it says Novus Ordo Seclorum underneath, and Novus Ordo Seclorum means, I told you in the last podcast, secular. Here it is right here. I'll just hover over that and it'll show you. Novus Ordo Seclorum means, right here it says, the new order of the age, the new order of the ages. Welcome to the New World Order. It can be translated into different things, but it's the New World Order. There's no doubt about the first two words. If you say that the last word is ages or world, or when FDR is the one who decided, who was a Freemason. He's the one who decided to put this on the back of the dollar bill. And he told people that the Seclorum meant New Deal. So, the new order or the New Deal is what FDR says. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if you debate about the last word, Seclorum, which it means world. That's where you get the word secular from. It means world. The first two words, there's no debate. It's the new order, the new order. So what is an order? An order is a state of homeostasis. It's a state of it's the opposite of chaos, basically, is what order is. That order is a state of I can't even, I'm drawing blank on what I can even say order is, but order is just the opposite of chaos. And chaos is how you get order, is what these people believe. They believe that order comes out of chaos. So if they want to create a new order, then they believe that they have to create chaos first, and the chaos is going to bring them their new order. If you remember the famous line from Littlefinger in the Game of Thrones, that chaos is a ladder, that out of chaos comes order. So the new order of the world is what that says there. So this symbol here with the pyramid, with the, it's got 13 layers, and then the capstone with the eye, they call this symbol the Eye of Providence. Eye of Providence is what they say. And the Eye of Providence is a Christian symbol, is what they'll tell you. Here, I have it right here. Let's go back down here. It says, Christianity, the association of an eye, a single eye, with the concept of divine providence is found in Christianity. In late Renaissance European iconography, the eye surrounded by a triangle was an explicit symbol of Christianity and the Holy Trinity. The Eye of Providence is later painted above an image of the three faces in Pontormo's 1525 Supper of Emmaus. So this is the painting here, and you'll see this eye. This is in the 16th century. So they're trying to tell you that this is a Christian symbol. Let's go back here. This pyramid with the eye, the single eye above the pyramid, that this is a Christian symbol. That's weird. That's weird. So this eye, according to these people, here, let's go to this article. This is the article that I recommended to you at the end of the last podcast. I said I was going to put it in the show notes. Let me just read this part. It says, the rest of the seal includes the motto, and tuus conceptus, the Latin for he, God, has favored our undertaking, above the eye. Below the eye, Novus Order Seclorum, a new order of the ages, which is meant to signify the new American era, is what this article says. And I told you in the last podcast that this article was a head fake. According to the National Museum of American Diplomacy, this last paragraph, despite the conspiracy theories, the floating eye above the unfinished pyramid on the back of your dollar bill isn't connected to the Illuminati. Instead, it's seemingly serves as a representation of the eye of God on the, quote, spiritual side of the seal, the spiritual side of the seal. The eye of God. So what you're telling me is that this floating eye above this pyramid is the God. This is what they want you to believe, that this is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that this floating eye above this pyramid is the God that sent Samuel to anoint David. This is the eye of the God that spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai and gave him the law. This is what they want you to believe, that this eye above this pyramid is the God of the Bible. This eye. That all the celebrities, they all, this is the eye of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is what you're telling me. that this eye above a pyramid, an Egyptian pyramid, this is not the eye of Horus. So you're telling me this is not the eye of Horus, that this is the eye of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what they want you to believe. Let's take a listen to this clip.
When you want to talk about symbols and what they mean, you really have to look at who's authored these symbols. What was their intentions?
Well, I think it's obvious that anybody who has the eyes to see can see that Washington, D.C., and indeed many other state capitals are festooned with occult symbols.
Because these symbols come from the esoteric realm, it is important to define them according to the thinking of occult philosophers.
Symbols reveal and they conceal. And that's why they're used and that's why they're so important. They reveal to those who have...
This eye right here is what you're telling me.
Symbols reveal and they conceal.
This eye, that's the eye of Abraham, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The God that told this to check out Noah's ark here. So the God that told Noah to build this ark, that's his eye. That's what they want you to believe.
And that's why they're used and that's why they're so important. They reveal to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. And they conceal from those who do not have the eyes to see or ears to hear.
In the book, Masonic and Occult Symbols Illustrated, we find this quote from Masonic author Charles G. Berger, who says that symbols came to have two meanings, the esoteric and the exoteric. The esoteric meaning was the true or original meaning, understood only by a few and closely guarded by them. The exoteric meaning was the invented or modified explanation intended for the many.
So the invented or modified explanation that is intended for the many is what this guy writes in his book. So when they say that this eye over the pyramid is God, is that the real meaning behind this symbol? Or is that the meaning of this symbol that they have given to the public, but it has secret meaning? What I'm trying to get you to understand is that the people, these witches, they have, when I was saying in the last podcast that they are crypto witches, that they basically have wrapped themselves in Christianity, and they have people believing that these groups, these covens, that when you join them, that you're joining Christian organizations, and all of their symbology that they have, taken and recreated to give a Christian story behind it. It's all deception. It's all witchcraft that they have wrapped into Christian mythology, Christian mysticism, but it's witchcraft. If you go here to this Rosicrucian page, tells you right here. Let me just show you a little bit about what it says about Rosicrucian. Modern groups. Let's go right here. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, various groups styled themselves as Rosicrucians. Now, the Rosicrucians, many of these groups branch off from Freemasonry. Like I was explaining how the Order of the Eastern Star being Sirius in the last podcast, they branched off from from Freemasonry as well. Show you what it says here. Order of the Eastern Star is a Masonic adaptation. You have the Shriners. The Rosicrucians, I believe, predates the Freemasonry, and all this stuff goes way, way back. And we're going to get into where it goes back to when we start talking about Mesopotamia. But in the modern inception of these groups coming together, these modern covens, it started in Europe. with the Knights Templars. The Knights Templars were knights that they were fighting the Crusades. They were Catholic. They went to the Holy Land to fight in the Crusades. And then they start bringing a lot of this magic and this mysticism back and making it part of the European elite. They found a lot of these groups. So these groups go back to Europe, and these are witches that have to join in these covens for protection. But they're also going into these seminary schools because they're pretending to be Christian as well. They're going into these schools and they are learning canon law. They know the Bible like the back of their hands. These witches know the Bible better than most Christians that go to church on a weekly basis. These witches know. Let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. This guy, I know I'm moving around here, but this guy, Charles Thomas, he's the one who invented the Great Seal. Thomas is also known for co-designing the Great Seal of the United States. And for his translation of the Bible's Old Testament. So this guy's responsible for the Great Seal. It's Latin. Welcome to the New World Order, or the New Order of the World, New Order of the Age. He's responsible for that, for creating this symbol with the eye above the pyramid, and they tell you that this is the eye of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This same individual is also translating the Old Testament. So what I'm telling you is that these witches, they know, they know the Bible better than most Christians. So back to this. During the during the late 19th and early 20th century, various groups styled themselves as Rosicrucians. The diverse groups who link themselves to Rosicrucian tradition can be divided into three categories: esoteric Christian Rosicrucian groups, which profess Christ; Masonic Rosicrucian groups such as SRIA, Societas Rosicrucia, and initiatory groups such as Golden Dawn, Ancient Mystical Orders, Rosicruces. So, esoteric Christian, what is this? Christian mysticism is what it is. Esoteric Christian. This is not Christianity, folks. This is witchcraft. This is 100% witchcraft, and that's what they have these people involved in, but they hide it behind Christian sayings. They even use the Bible. If you go back here to the order of the Eastern Star again is Sirius. It says right here, the order right here. The order is based on some teachings from the Bible and is open to people of all religious beliefs. The order is based on some teachings from the Bible and it is open to people of all religious beliefs, is what it says. I think I have another one here too that says the same thing that I'm looking for. If you just go to Freemasons, it says the same thing. It's the same thing. Basically, you have to believe in a higher power to join these groups, and it doesn't matter who the higher power is. You can be Mormon, you can be Christian, you can be Catholic, you can be Muslim, you can be a Luciferian, you can be Jewish, you can be any faith and join these Masonic fraternities You can be any race. You can be any gender and join these Masonic fraternities. And they pretend to be Christian organizations, but they're not Christian organizations. They have essentially wrapped themselves in Christianity so they can hide. And they, like I said, know Christianity like the back of their hands. They have, they've created this entire lore and mythology around Christian stories and Christian narratives from the Bible. Give you a perfect example. In Genesis, the story of Adam and Eve, this is a huge part of their mythology and what they believe, because they believe that the story of Adam and Eve happened the way that Genesis says, but they add a little bit more to it. They believe that Satan, as the serpent, when he enters the garden, that he actually sets the man and woman free, because the tree of knowledge, it's a specific type of knowledge. It says in Genesis that it's the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but they just shorten it to the tree of knowledge, and that God was keeping knowledge away from the man and the woman, and the serpent came in and he set them free, and the secret knowledge of this tree that God was keeping from them, they had access to, because of Satan. Satan's the one. So they've created this whole mythology. So Satan's is the one who is the light bearer, because they associate knowledge with light. You'll hear them talking about light over and over again. So not Satan, Lucifer. It's important that we say Lucifer, because Lucifer means light. And Lucifer is Satan. It's synonymous, but Lucifer is who they worship, because Lucifer means light, and Lucifer, the light, was bringing light to humanity through this secret knowledge all of this. I can go on and on about all of this mythology that they have created around Solomon's temple. Most of this stuff goes back, the master builders, the secret knowledge to build. That's why it's all about the G with the compass and the square, because they're master builders, but the master builders goes back to the master builder, the architect. They call the architect God. They don't call him God. They call him the architect. He's the master builder who built, created the universe, created the world, and they model themselves after the architect, the master builder. And again, their God is Lucifer. So Lucifer is the master builder. And the same secret knowledge that was used to build Solomon's temple, these master builders came on through history. They were the same designers that built the pyramids, the master builders that built the pyramids, that built Solomon's temple. They came from the Tower of Babel. We're going to get into the Tower of Babel. This is part of the mythology, that these master builders who built the Tower of were there building the structure of the Tower of Babel, also built the structures of the pyramids, came with their knowledge to build Solomon's temple. So many stories. They know the Bible, and they know the Bible like the back of their hands, but they have incorporated their witchcraft in with Christianity, and they have deceived many people because they're crypto witches into believing that what they're practicing is Christianity. And it's not Christianity. It's absolutely witchcraft. I have another clip here.
And if America were really, truly a Christian nation, what would all of these mythological characters be in our city? Certainly the Christian influence was very strong. From the Christian point of view, we were formed as a Christian nation. But from the occultist point of view, and those associated with astrology and the ancient mystery religions, America was, of course, and Washington, D.C. was to represent their position. So you've had the two forces in America ever since its formation.
From the very beginning, you have to understand that when the Mayflower came and established, Plymouth Rock, and the second wasn't the very first colony, but the second colony of Plymouth, that at that time, the time that these Christians were coming to the United States, the witches were coming at the same time. They were putting a foothold here as well. That's why you had the Salem, witch trials. These witches were coming at the exact same time as the Puritans, and they were establishing themselves here at the exact same time. You have to understand that.
While it seems that most of America's leaders have upheld Christian ideals, their reason for doing so is often questioned. If they were Christians, why would they erect monuments to pagan gods and goddesses? And if they were pagans, why confess to Christian ideals? Manly Hall suggests the reason may have been one of self-preservation. He argues that because of the persecutions of organized religion in the Old World, the secret societies employed even greater methods of secrecy to protect their occult philosophies, making themselves sound as though their beliefs had to do with Christianity, which was the dominant belief in Europe, and eventually America. He says the pagan intellectuals reclothed their original ideas in a garment of Christian phraseology, but bestowed the keys of the symbolism only upon those duly initiated and bound to secrecy. It is for this reason that all secret societies have an initiation process whereby members are bound by blood oaths not to reveal the secrets of the order.
Not only blood oaths, these are secret oaths that they take. And that's going back to that speech that Kennedy gave 3 months after he was elected, and he gave at the press club in New York, where, he talks about that we're opposed to secret oaths. We're opposed to people in power that belong to secret societies. And the reason why we should be opposed to that is because if you take a secret oath and you take a public oath, what's going to happen when those two oaths meet each other and they conflict with one another? Whose oath are you going to stay loyal to? You're going to stay loyal to your public oath, or are you going to stay loyal to the secret oath that you have made to these witches and this witchcraft?
A chief factor that contributes to confusion about the beliefs of America's founders is the presence of Rosicrucianism. The Rosicrucians are a mystical, arcane society that played a major role in the development of Freemasonry.
So I was explaining that Rosicrucians basically predated Freemasonry, and many of the early Rosicrucians came from the Knights Templar. So one of the things that the witches have taken and created a whole narrative around from Christianity is the doctrine of the Trinity. The doctrine of the Trinity, it was affirmed in the Council of Nicaea in 325. It was argued by its most prominent defender was Athanasius, Athanasius was the bishop. He was a bishop from Egypt, and he argued the points of the doctrine of the Trinity and did it so effectively that all of the other bishops in the Council of Nicaea agreed, and it was It was affirmed in the Nicene Creed. Now, it was reaffirmed many times after that in other councils, Chalcedon. There were other councils after that affirmed. And I believe that the scriptures, that the Bible affirms the doctrine of the Trinity. But what these witches have done, they have taken the doctrine of the Trinity, and they'll tell you that they're talking about the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And they're not talking about the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. This is what they're talking about. And actually have three meanings or several meanings for the Trinity that they are talking about when they talk about the Trinity. This is Isis, Horus, Set. This is the sun, the moon, Sirius. This is man, woman, child. This is Nimrod, Semiramis, Tammuz. This is their Trinity. So when they're talking about the Trinity, they are talking about their secret Trinity. These stars, they correspond with Orion's belt. And they also, this is their Trinity. This is a statue in Africa, in Senegal. It's called Renaissance. This statue represents the Trinity of the witches. And this, if you got to understand this statue right here, because like I was telling you, it's man, woman, and the offspring. So that's a lot of their mythology is about that. Man, woman, and the offspring. This is man, woman, and the offspring, pointing west to America from Senegal. But if you notice that the shape that they're making with their hands, the woman's hand coming back here, the child's hand coming here, this is the shape of the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem is very important to the mythology of these witches. And if you notice the Pythagorean theorem, you'll have represented by the three, the larger, male, female, and offspring. So when I tell you that they've taken, the Bible and created an entire mythology and backstory behind it. It's like what they've done is like, the first. I love the fact that HelloFresh always send me something different that I'll never. So, like the first Star Wars movie, and then you have the first trilogy, and then now Disney, they've gone back and they've created, these prequels and entire narratives around the Star Wars story that spring off of that initial trilogy. That's kind of what they've done with the Bible. They've gone and they've taken the Bible and they've taken these stories and they've ingrained their witchcraft in with these stories. What else did I want to show you guys? All right, I want to show you this. This is from hold on, let's get you here. All right, 1 Corinthians 3. This is a New International version, and this is Paul writing to church leaders. And what Paul says here, he says, brothers and sisters, I cannot address you as people who live by the Spirit, but as people who are still worldly, merely infants in Christ. He calls them babies in Christ. I gave you milk, not solid food, for you are not ready for solid food for it. You're not ready for it. Indeed, you're still not ready. You're still worldly. For since there is jealousy, quarreling among you, and he's basically telling them that they are babies in the faith. This idea of babies in the faith is an idea that every single religion has. that when you first come into a faith, even Christianity, you come in as a baby and you come in not knowing much about the faith, and you have to learn more about the faith. And as you learn more about the faith, as Paul says there to the church at Corinthians, then you're able to digest more. You're able to move beyond milk into solid foods. This is the way every religion work. It's really interesting. Scientology. I was watching the documentary. The actress, what is her name? Remy or whatever. The woman from the show King of Queens. But she was a Scientologist, and she leaves Scientology, and she did this whole series on A&E about her leaving and exposing Scientology. And in that series, they talk about when you're new into Scientology, and Scientology is this whole religion that L. Ron Hubbard completely made up out of thin air. He was a science fiction writer before he became the prophet of Scientology. But there's this whole mythology around Scientology about Xenu. Xenu's this alien who comes to Earth, and he goes into a volcano, and then the volcano erupts, and then all of these thetans go everywhere, and the thetans are everywhere attacking us, and it's not us doing bad stuff, there's these thetans in us. And then you go and you have to hold these cans and get read. You have to pay to get read, and then that's how you move up to the levels of Scientology. But they don't tell you about Xenu and the Thetans on day one. As a matter of fact, during this series that this actress put on, she showed that you don't find out about Xenu and the Thetans and that whole mythology until you're $500,000 in, and it's taken you years to go up those levels in Scientology to get that knowledge. It's not the way Christianity is, but I'm just using Scientology as an example. And why am I doing that? Is because many of you are going to say, oh, my dad's a Freemason and my grandfather was a Freemason. He wasn't a witch. He didn't worship Lucifer. Well, they don't tell you that on day one. They don't tell you that you're worshiping Lucifer on day one. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you that down here at the bottom when they're bringing on new initiates. When you're a new initiate, they're telling you that this is about Christianity. This doesn't conflict with your Christian faith at all. You believe in the Trinity? Yeah, we believe in the Trinity. Of course we believe in the Trinity down here as a new initiate into this witchcraft. But as you climb up the ladder, and as you learn more about the faith that you're in, you find out that you're in witchcraft. You see right here, the G with this is the I of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what they want you to believe, that this is the I of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see the Temple of Solomon back here. You see the Bible here. This is the ladder that you go up, Scottish Rite, York Rite. But again, it's not just Freemasonry. It's not just Freemasonry. I have, let's look at this guy. Hold on. This is a Shriner, and the Shriners are a branch off of Freemasonry, just like the Order of the Eastern Star. You have to be a Freemason before you can be a Shriner. And this is a Shriner meeting, a convention that they're having, and this man is confronting these Shriners that they worship Lucifer when they're going into the hotel, and this one Shriner gets into this back and forth with this guy, and he records him. I want you to take a look at this.
Okay. Just that, sir. Okay. I'm a Christian, sir. I'm pure and virtuous and wholesome and innocent. How can you say anything bad about me?
Sir, you need to be born again.
I am born again.
Now, did you just say that you are Lucifer?
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again.
They believe this too. All right. And that's another part of what they tell them, because these Shriners, they have hospitals all over. He's even going to say it here. He's going to say, what about those hospitals? What about those kids we feed, you know? And they do a lot of good work, and they believe that Lucifer is a good person, again, because Lucifer is the one who brought the light. He's the one who brought the knowledge. And Lucifer is about helping the kids and helping humanity. I mean, it's humanism without a doubt. Humanism, without a doubt. So they believe they're doing good works, and they do a lot of good works. So that's what he's talking about here.
Individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy,
virtuous.
Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh, Amen. God bless you, Amen. Brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're
about
confirming
those hospitals?
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not do these good deeds in your name? And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Jesus said it?
In Matthew chapter 5.
Mercy.
No.
That's hard to believe.
So you're a Christian and you don't know that? Actually.
No, I really am.
You are.
Because I'm pure and virtuous.
You're pure and virtuous, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. In other words, you're perfect without Jesus, right?
No.
Okay, tell me about Jesus. Who is Jesus?
Well, he's my leader.
Is he the Son of God?
Yes, he is.
Is he the only worshipful master?
Yeah, listen to what he says here. Is he the only worshipful master? Is Jesus the only worshipful master? That's what Christians believe. I mean, that's day one stuff. You learn that at day one when you're on the milk, that Jesus is the only worshipful master.
Is he the Son of God?
Yes, he is.
Is he the only worshipful master?
Yes.
Have you ever been called worshipful master?
No, because I've just been too busy. I've been working.
Working
to help people.
What like kind of work?
Okay. Get out of here.
All right. So, worshipful master. I got another clip. We're going to just hold on to worshipful master. Okay. I want you to see this clip. This is a clip of I think it's a city council meeting in Washington, where Spokane is, and they have a prayer to basically start the meeting in some meetings. And then I think that just because they had to be fair, the Church of Satan comes along and says that if you allow people to open this meeting with prayer, then we want to be able to open this meeting with the dedication ourselves. This is Church of Satan in Washington. I want you to listen to this guy's dedication. Hold on, I'm going to get it here. Listen to this guy's dedication. Listen to what he says.
Thank you for letting us here. My name is Jason. I am an organizer and founder of Reno Satanic, and I am here to give the invocation today. Let us begin. In nomine de nostris Satanis Luciferi Excelsi, in the name of the eternal rebel against tyrannical authority.
The eternal rebel, in the name of the eternal rebel. That goes back to what I was saying in the last podcast about rules for radicals, when Saul Alinsky dedicates his book, Rules for Radicals, to Lucifer. He is the rebel, the first rebel known to man, and who knows where mythology leaves off and history begins. The first rebel to rebel against the establishment so effectively that he won his own kingdom, the kingdom of hell. And notice this Luciferian here calls him a rebel.
Let us begin. In nomine de nostris Satanis Luciferi Excelsi, in the name of the eternal rebel against tyrannical authority, in the spirit of your nature of the natural world, the freedoms of thought and expression, unprejudiced intellectual inquiry, economics and social progress, to bring influence and guiding actions of nobility and justice to the decisions made in this chamber today. To act with might in the undertaking of responsibility that may lay ahead of this body before us today. The new age is dawning that these decisions will play a role in. For our liberation, for here and now is our day of joy. Here and now is our opportunity. May we seize this glorious day and its enchanting nights to celebrate the wonders of the natural world as we are all part of its boundless mysteries. And the spirit of the unconquerable Son, the bringer of light and knowledge.
The spirit of the unconquerable Son, the bringer of knowledge and light. Knowledge and light are synonymous. You got to understand that the reason that they embrace Lucifer, the light bearer, is what Albert Pike says in Morals and Dogma, that Lucifer is the light bearer and light is knowledge. He's the one who bears the knowledge.
And the spirit of the unconquerable Son, the bringer of light and knowledge, we say, Shemham Farash, hail Satan.
All right, so the last thing that I want to do today, we are almost out of time, but I want you to listen to this video. And this is a woman that I had an interaction with online, and she said that she was going to make this video about her leaving the Order of the Eastern Star. And after she made it, she reached out to me and sent it to me. And I wanted to play it because this is her testimony. And she talks about when she was in witchcraft through the Order of the Eastern Star and why she left. I'm going to play a little bit of this, and then we'll see how much time we have after this. And if we do have a little bit more time, I have a couple more things that I'm going to play to wrap us up. But let's go ahead and get started.
Hey guys, what's good? It's your girl Tina with the T. Today I want to talk about how I did witchcraft for over 10 years. Yes, I did witchcraft for over 10 years. I was a part of an organization called the Order of Eastern Star. Many of you probably heard about it or have not. If you're familiar with the Masonic body or Freemasons, Prince Hall affiliated, you know about the Order of Eastern Star. We are the sisters to them, right? So here's the story to the backstory, all right? So over 10 years ago, around 2011, 2012, I lived in Alabama, and I went to Alabama A&M University. Bulldogs, right? And my family member lived in Alabama. He's also was a part of an organization, a Greek organization, as well as a Freemason. So when I went to Alabama, I was like, oh my goodness, I want to become a Mason. Like, I'm interested. Tell me more. He looked at me and was like, Tila, women do not become Freemasons. In some other countries they do, but not here in America. I was like, oh, okay, so what y'all do? Tell me something about, y'all got a sister, hook me up. So he introduced me to some ladies, and not knowing that I already had a close friend at that time that was an Eastern Star, and someone that I used to talk to, his close friend was also a Mason. So they was like, yeah, Tila, you're not ready. You're not ready for this goat. You're not ready for this
goat. You're not ready for this goat.
Coming to the real light, like this, like that. Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Like this, like that.
So I go to my cousin. I'm like, sign me up. Sign me up. I'm ready. What? Let's do it. So long story short, I ended up leaving Alabama before I could join. So I moved back home to Florida, and I started to go to school there. And he hooked me up with someone in Fort Lauderdale that was what they call the worshipful master.
What are they called? What they called the worshipful master. All right, that goes back to the video of the Shriner and the guy in front of the hotel asking him, have you ever called anyone worshipful master? Because that's what they call the lead witch in these covens. He's called the worshipful master.
And he hooked me up with someone in Fort Lauderdale that was what they call the worshipful master. So he introduced me again to he introduced me to some sisters, and that's where I started my process of becoming an Eastern Star. Now,
a witch.
When I joined this chapter, people that I knew from my church was a part of this organization. Familiar people, right? People that I grew up with, people that was over me in certain parts of the church, like my dance ministry and other things, they were a part of it. So me thinking, oh, since they doing it, it's good, right? I ain't gotta worry about it. So they got me. They know the same God that I serve, they serving him too. So it was all good in the hood, right? So I ended up going through that chapter, but it was a different affiliation. It wasn't the same one that other people are familiar with that are recognized as true Eastern Stars, because there's Clandestine, there is Prince Hall affiliated, Ancient Free and Accepted.
There's so many covens.
They got a lot.
They got a lot of covens. That's what I was telling y'all. There's so many covens. There's so many different covens.
I ended up joining that chapter, right? I did a lot. I did community service. I went to other parts of Florida.
That's it. They get you in with you. We're doing good stuff. We're doing good works. We're feeding the poor. We're building hospitals. We're doing this good works. You're doing witchcraft.
Help people out, give to the poor, my time, my money, all that. I did that. And not knowing that I was a part of an organization that was dealing in witchcraft. Now, let's talk about my initiation. So I had to go through a petition. I had to do all that. They asked me questions. Oh, do you believe in the Supreme Being?
The Supreme Being.
Who is that? That should have been Lucifer. A red flag for me, but it wasn't.
Lucifer.
It was like, oh, do you believe in the Supreme Being? So I had asked my uncle, my cousin at the time, I'm like, who is the Supreme Being? They was like, Tila, do you believe in God? I'm like, yeah, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. He's like, so put yes. I was like, oh. So I never, this is my first time ever hearing about the Supreme Being. So I'm like, so why they just didn't put God? Why didn't you put Jesus Christ? He was like, because Tila, many people believe in different gods. But I'm like, I only serve one God. He was like, Tila, that's your God. That's who you believe in. I'm like, okay. So I checked it. But anywho, long story short, they read my petition and all this stuff like that. I got a phone call. It's like, hey, when would you like to be initiated and all this stuff like that. So the night of the initiation, they were like, wear comfortable clothes, all that. I was like, okay, y'all don't want me to wear white? It's like, no, because you haven't been brought over yet. I was like, oh, okay. So it's like, yeah, wear comfortable clothing, just be comfortable. So the night of the initiation, the night before, let me tell y'all about that. The night before, I had a dream, right? And I have a lot of dreams nowadays. And I had a dream that I was in a black hole and I was spinning round and around like nonstop, like around, and like it was dark. And like, it was just a crazy dream. So I just ignored it. I didn't really know that I was really dreaming that much at the time. But anywho, so the night of the initiation, I wore my comfortable clothes. People from the church that I knew was there. People that I loved, people that I respected. I'm like, y'all got me. They're like, yeah, Till, you don't gotta worry about it and all this stuff like that. So I walk into the lodge and at the door, and they blindfolded me. What y'all blindfolded me for? They're like, oh, this is just a part of it, you know. When they ask you these questions, you say, yes, I do, and all the stuff like that. And it was something. So I go, if someone is guiding me, because I did this initiation by myself, right? So someone was guiding me throughout the whole process. I was blindfolded. I do what they call walk the labyrinth. I went to each star point. They talked about it. And fun fact, each star point or whatever stands for someone in the Bible. So me being brought up Jewish in a Judeo-Christian environment, I'm like, oh, I know some of this. I know Esther. I know Martha. I know all them other star points, Ada and Ruth, and I hit home with her homegirl, you know, if I'm my Boaz. But it was a lot of familiarity things that I was familiar with, and I felt comfortable enough with it. So then they had me kneel before an altar and
kneel before an altar.
How to swiftly emerge from a rapidly sinking.
Kneel before an altar. They had her do, and her story, she goes into more about her story, what it did to her marriage, what it was doing to her life while she was in it, and thank God her story is a beautiful story because she gets out of this witchcraft. There are many people that are still in it, many people that are getting in it, but my focus is not on the people that are the new initiates, people like Tila, who is telling the story in the video that I just played. And I'll put the entire video on my website in the show notes if you're interested. But my focus is on the witches at the higher echelon of this witchcraft, the witches that know that they're worshiping Satan, the witches that know what these secret symbols mean and know what they're worshiping. Real quick before we leave, I want to play one more clip. I'm going to play this clip. It talks a little bit about the star Sirius. The Eastern Star, again, is Sirius, but I want you to understand how important Sirius is to their mythology. Hold on one moment here.
With all secret societies, you have levels, and if you're on the lower levels, you don't even know they're upper levels. They don't even tell you. You bump into it by accident or someone comes along. Now, in Scottish Rite, that's something different, you know, because they know that there's a... But before then, and basically secret societies such as, let's go to ancient Egypt. To the ancient Egyptians, the priest would tell the serfs, the guys that tilled the land, they would say, the sun is God, okay? And so they accepted that very low-level interpretation, all physical. That's not what the priest believed. What the priest believed, there was a second level. The priest believed that, nope, the physical sun is not the supreme being. It's the spirit which flows through the physical sun that is the supreme deity. However, there was another level, and the priests didn't even know it. It's those that were involved and elevated to if I would have told you this 15 years ago, I might have gotten shot. But this is now, I'm so glad now that this is easy to talk about. The third level, which is a higher level of understanding, said, nope, it's not, that's not the sun. The sun is not the supreme deity. Nope, yes, spiritual energies come through the sun. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the star Sirius. The dog star, because the dog star was everything to the ancient Egyptians.
Sirius is said to have been the most important star in the ancient world. It was considered the brightest star in the heavens, many times brighter than the sun. The Great Pyramid was built to synchronize with Sirius, so that the light of this star would shine into the queen's chamber. Supposedly, to cast a beam upon an initiate during a ritual.
Sirius is considered to be the dog star. It's considered to be the most evil star in the Egyptian pantheon. And the reason for this is because in ancient Egypt, they depended on the Nile. And during the time when Sirius is in its ascendancy, which is in late July and early August, was the time of drought. It was a time when the Nile was at its most weak in terms of being used for crops. And so the Egyptians thought this is a time of blasted blight, drought, and evil.
It seems strange then that Sirius should be related to the founding of America. According to Masonic author David Oveson, the Declaration of Independence was signed when the sun was in alignment with Sirius in July of 1776.
All right, so I just wanted to play that because I just wanted you to see that Sirius, and to reaffirm the fact I've already told you that Sirius is a very important star, but it's not the only part of their mythology. I mean, Sirius is in the Trinity, the sun, the moon, and Sirius is the offspring, sun, moon, and stars. There's so much more to it. And I had a lot more to talk about, and we'll get back into it when, I have a lot to share with you guys, and we're going to get back into it on Monday. But what I think we're going to do on Monday is start talking about Mesopotamia and introduce Abraham to you, and go back thousands of years. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you guys on Monday.